On deck is Ted Savage. Ted, may you come to the front. You're going to sit down, and we're going to talk about your career, and it's been a wondrous one here in St. Louis, and I would think you've all heard of Ted Savage, first as a baseball player, and he went down that road. Let's talk about East St. Louis, playing at East St. Louis High School. Tell us what that was like.
That was just like waking up every day and doing the same thing that most of the other kids did. I was at an affair yesterday, was the day before yesterday or yesterday, at the where the college is now. And I looked around and I says, I was raised right there. And I says, Franklin Park was right there. And I was surprised that they had the campuses there now. And I could look around and just see everything where I was raised. I remember one thing that stood out my playing baseball is that in East St. Louis, we had one diamond. And we weren't allowed to play on that until we got a certain age. So we used to play on a field that we made, railroad tracks running through the outfield, trains coming through, and I used to get on the train, and I mean, a live train, and fly ball come my way, I got to get it, you know, and we did that kind of stuff, you know, anything to have fun, and I knew I could play baseball, but I knew also that I could play basketball. And I just knew one day something was going to happen and I was going to get a chance to play pro baseball, and it did.
Now, if the ball went in a boxcar and just went down the tracks, is that a home run?
If it got by me. If it got by me.
All right, so you moved on to Lincoln University. What happened there?
Lincoln University, I got a full scholarship to go down there, and I got a chance to play baseball, basketball, and track. Graduated from Lincoln University, and I had to go into service for a couple of years. And so I went into service for a couple of years, and one day the guy that was head of the whole Army organization down there said, Savage. I said, what? He said, come by the office, I want to talk to you. I said, okay. So I went by to see him. He says, now look, you got to tell me right now. I said, yes, sir. He said, now you can go to the Army and fight, or you can stay here and play baseball and basketball for me. And I just came right out and told him, I said, I don't know no Korean, no. I don't want to go fight nobody. And so he kept me there for 2 years, and after I did that, a scout came along and said, I've been watching you for 4 or 5 years, and I want you to play baseball for the Philadelphia Phillies. I said, fine. And I signed the contract. And let me tell you about my first experience with playing baseball. I got on a train right here in East St. Louis. No, it wasn't East St. Louis. It was St. Louis over at, where was the train?
At Union Station.
At the Union Station. I got on the train, and then I was on my way out to spring training, my first spring training. I had just signed a contract with Philadelphia. Now, keep in mind that the minimum salary back in the day was $6,500. And I think about what they're making now, and I get sick. But anyway, we get to spring training, and the general manager meets me at the airport. Come on, Savage, go with me. I said, where you taking me? I'm taking you where you're going to stay. I said, okay. So I got in this car, and I'm driving down the highway. We hit the beach area, and I see all these pretty girls on the beach. Excuse me, honey. And we pull up in front of the hotel, and I get out of the hotel. I get out of the car, and he said, "You wait right here." I said, "Fine." Well, he went inside. I said, "Well, I see some of the ball players." I said, I'm gonna go on in and see what's going on. And as I got into the big hotel there, I got to the middle of the floor. I heard the N word. Where in the hell are you going? I said, this is where the Philadelphia Phillies staying. I said, I'm going to be a star. They said, well, you star your butt back in the car. We don't allow you in here. And so I went back to the car, and so pretty soon my general manager came out. He said, no, Savage, you're not staying here. I said, okay, okay. He said, get in the car. I'll take you to where you're staying. And I got in the car, and he took me down the road a little bit and made a left, and then we hit the dirt roads. And I said, where you going? He said, I'm taking you where you stay. And I said, okay, okay. So he pulled up in front of this house. I looked up, I said, that sign says funeral home. I said, I'm not staying in no damn funeral home. Are you crazy? And so he said, this is where all the black guys are staying. I said, okay. I said, well, take me back to the train station. And by that time, a couple of guys came out. Come on, Savage, it's going to be all right. It's just a couple of dead guys in here,
Was it open casket? When you slept, was it open casket?
I'm not through. And so I said, okay, I'll spend one night. And so I went out in the back room and looked around, and they said, your bed is already made up. I said, okay, guys, I'll go to bed. I'm gonna spend one night in bed. And I got into bed, and I guess about 12 or 1 o'clock, I felt something heavy on me. The guys had went out in the area and bought a dead body and threw him on top of me. This is when I know I was strong. This is when I knew I could outrun anybody. I pissed that dead body off of me, and I just took off running. And so finally they caught up with me, and I told them I'm not going back in there. And so they had to find me another place to stay. And this is when my baseball career really started. I became a troublemaker because I didn't want to stay with dead folk,
Well, they weren't very good conversationalists either. So where'd you play once you signed the contract with the Phillies? Where did they send you?
My first place was where, honey? Where was it? It's been so long. Williamsport, Pennsylvania. That was where I first went. And I had a good year at Williamsport, and then they sent me to AAA, Milwaukee's AAA team. Buffalo, New York. And I had one hell of a year in AAA. So that meant I was going to the big leagues the next year. But then, by me always popping off, I'm not going to tell you what they called me, but I stayed there a whole year and had a good year at AAA. I won everything in AAA. So now it's time for me to go with the big league club to Philadelphia. And the first guy I met was the manager. And he told me that I'm going to have to change my ways. He says, just because you got an education, you got degrees, you can't act like this. And I told him point blank, I just want to be a baseball player. And that lasted about a month. And this is when I started to get traded. I got 9 years in the big leagues and got traded 8 times. And I was not a troublemaker. I just wanted to play baseball.
It must have been the American plan from the tourist people.
But I did, I can't remember all this stuff, but I did jot down 2 things that, okay. I jotted down 2 things, and I just want to let you guys know, I've been debating whether to say these things and let people know how really bad it was for minority ball players back in the day. And I can bring my family in on this. I took my daughters, they wanted to go swimming one day somewhere on the East Coast. And as they looked out the door, they said, "Look, Daddy, the pool is filled." No, the pool is empty. And I said, "Okay, you can't go out there now." "Well, Daddy, nobody's out there. The pool is filled now." I said, "Okay, we'll go now." And as I never forget this, as they jumped in the pool, within 2 minutes, the pool was empty. This is the kind of stuff that minority ball players were going through, and you had no right to complain about nothing, you know. And the first thing they would say is that you were born in East St. Louis, and you didn't have nothing anyway. But let me tell you, we had everything in East St. Louis. You know. And I will never put East St. Louis down. East St. Louis is home. We never had any problems there. All we wanted to do was play sports, go to school, graduate, and go somewhere else. All right, go ahead. I'm sorry.
Let's get a little background of Ted, too, because you got to know what he did off the baseball field, and then we'll do a little more baseball. But, you know, Ted was interested in being involved in the communities, as he said, East St. Louis and, frankly, a lot of other communities. He was a perfect match for the expansion of the RBI club from the inner city, both East St. Louis, Los Angeles, into the St. Louis metropolitan area. You worked with Matthew Dickey's Boys Club, and that was one of the crowning achievements in what you did off the field.
Yeah, we called it RBI. I called it RBI then, Reviving Baseball in the Inner City. We had a few teams, minority teams, back in the day. We're talking about going back to 1950-something. And we had a few teams, but Mr. Matthews and the Cardinals asked me would I set up something where we can get more guys to play baseball, minority guys. And I was going to people's homes and said, "Can I have your son to play baseball? We will take care of him. We make sure they don't get hurt or nothing like that." And like the first year we had 6 teams. We wound up with 6 teams. Second year we had about 15. Third year we had about 20. And then that 5th or 6th year, about 7 years later, we had about 40-some teams. There were kids out there that wanted to play, but they had no one to push them in the right direction. And I'm not bragging till I came along. And Matthews, myself, and the Cardinals, we put out about 36 teams out there at one time. And the program, this is back in the early 60s, and the program is still going on right now. And I'm very proud of it.
And highly successful. So you owe a lot of thanks, too, for the Cardinals for their able to see what was needed. You became Assistant Director of Public Community Relations.
Yeah, that was basically what it was all about.
And they honored you a couple of years ago. You've been doing it anyway. There'd been a golf tournament to raise funds for RBI. And finally, they did the right thing, and they named it after Ted Savage, which it is today.
Yeah, I was surprised and glad that that happened. I love playing golf, and
I've seen it.
I love playing golf, and every chance I get, I'm gonna try to play. And I just hope that I can keep playing for a few more years.
Ted, let's finish up with baseball. Your first at bat for the Phillies was in 1960. Do you remember it?
Yeah, I got a base hit. Right up the middle. I thought I was the world's best that ever played the game. You know, I got up and did my thing. It's one thing that I can broadcast and tell you guys about, that nobody knows. They done looked at record books and all this kind of stuff. But back in the day, stealing home plate was the thing to do. And I still say between 1940-something, 45 I say, and 19, and now, I stole home plate more than anybody. And I've been trying to find out, trying to find in the books, I can't find in the books, I can't find it anywhere. But I got fined a lot of times for stealing home when I shouldn't have been stealing. You know, but that was my forte, to get on base, get to third base, and steal it. And I did it, and nobody right now can tell me that I didn't do it, because I done looked in every encyclopedia, everything that says anything about baseball, and they don't have nothing in it. I teased Lou Brock about it. You know, Lou Brock was really fast and hell of a ball player, better ball player than me, as it turned out. But I still tell him today, you didn't steal home like I did. You know.
He wouldn't have done it. It's too dangerous. I know Lou that well. Finally, your best season was in 1970 with the Milwaukee Brewers. You hit .279. 12 homers, 50 runs batted in, and a .402 slugging percentage in 343 plate appearances.
They gave me a chance to play. That's all I ever wanted to do was play. And that year, Milwaukee says, you're our center fielder. And they gave me a chance to play. And I had my best year. And this is no lie. As soon as the season was over, I got a call from the general manager saying, you've been traded again. I said, that's it, I'm through. I gave it up then. Yeah.
Well, Ted, we're glad to have you tonight and your family, and well-deserved recognition. I know the Cardinals are proud of you. By the way, all of you, look at the ads in the program, because a lot of them are from teams, and the Cardinals ad is all about Ted Savage. So, Ted, I, as president, want to welcome you to the St. Louis Sports Hall of Fame.
Well, thank you. Thank you very much.